Hey, it's Abby, and I'm getting ready to do a little organizational refresh in my pantry, so I thought I'd take you along for the ride. I especially wanted to answer some frequently asked questions that I get about decanting. So if you're not sure what that is or how to do it, be sure to stick around. Okay, so what is decanting when it comes to the pantry? Decanting is just sort of a fancy word that refers to taking items out of their original packaging and putting it in containers instead. Usually clear containers, and most of the time they match. So why would someone want to decant their items? Well, I like to decant because it gets rid of a lot of excess packaging and gives our pantry a more streamlined look. Everything looks neater. It's also easier to tell how much I have left of certain items because I can see right into the clear containers and tell, rather than, say, opening a box when I'm ready to cook and realizing that I'm nearly out of an ingredient that I need. When I'm planning my grocery shopping trip, I can take a really quick look at my pantry and immediately see what I need to grab more of. When we use airtight containers, our food can even stay fresh longer than it does in the original packaging. Decanting is an extra step though, so it does take some time. And also the containers can get pricey. So I like to strike a balance right in the middle between not decanting anything and decanting every single thing in the pantry. So what should I decant? What should I not decant? There's a lot of personal preference that goes into that question. I like to decant baking items like flour and sugar because they typically stay in my pantry for a decent amount of time. On the flip side of that, I do not decant cereal and snack foods into clear containers because we tend to go through them more quickly, and I feel like I would constantly be shuffling food through containers. Another category that I like to decant is pasta so that I can get rid of all of the bulky packaging. It saves me some space and it just sits more neatly in the pantry as well. Finally, I decant my spices mostly because I like how they look when all of the containers match. Again, this is totally a personal preference thing. There is no one-size-fits-all right and wrong answer here. Let me know in the comments what you like to decant and what you like to leave in its original packaging. Okay, so how do we go through the actual decanting process? I like to start the way I start many of my organizing projects, by making a list. I went to my pantry and wrote down everything I wanted to put into a clear container, and I also made a note of how that item is usually packaged. For example, flour typically comes in 5-pound bags. Sugar usually comes in 4-pound bags, etc. If you're not sure how an item is usually packaged, most grocery stores have a website where you can look up items to see what size packages they come in. After I have my list of items and package sizes, then it's time to match them up with the correct bins. This is important. Make sure I know my sizes first and then buy the bins. I know buying cute bins is the fun part, but we'll save ourselves a lot of time and frustration if we do all of our measuring first. I decided to use the OXO pop containers because they're high quality and airtight, so they'll keep my food items fresh. They actually have a handy guide on their site that can help people figure out what items would fit best in which containers, so I will link to that in the description below. I ended up getting a good deal on OXO's 20-piece set, so I started with that because it was going to be cheaper than buying all of the containers individually. I ended up only buying 2 individual containers in sizes that I needed that weren't included in the 20-piece set. Once I figured out what items would go in which containers, I marked them all with Post-it notes, so it was easy to keep track of what goes where. Then I set out to make some labels with my Cricut cutting machine and adhesive vinyl. I like the vinyl labels because they stay put for a long time and I can get the exact color and font I want. I have a video that walks through the process of making vinyl labels with a Silhouette cutting machine and a blog post that talks about how to make them with a Cricut cutting machine, so I will link both of those in the description below. Once all of my containers were labeled, it was time to fill them up. These containers were big enough that I didn't need any type of funnel or anything. I just dumped the items right in. Another nice feature that can be added to the OXO containers is a half-cup scoop that attaches right to the lid, so I did end up using those where it made sense for items like flour and sugar. One of the questions I get asked most often is, but what if all of the food in the package doesn't fit into the container that I have for it? Well, I try to be proactive about that problem by choosing containers that will hold the entire amount of what usually comes in a standard size package. But no matter how much I plan, there will inevitably be times where I end up with some excess. I keep a bin on the floor of our pantry just for that purpose. I call it the backstock bin, and if I have excess of something, I will put it in there and then try to use it up first to get it out of the bin as soon as possible. Another question I hear frequently is, if I'm getting rid of the packaging, how do I know expiration dates or directions for things? There are a bunch of different ways we could go about this, but this time I decided to grab some clear adhesive business card holders and stick them on the backs of my bins. The sleeve can easily hold any instructions that are needed, as well as the expiration dates of my items, so I can quickly check and get the information I need. Time to put all of the containers in the pantry and add the final touches. Ended up. The decanted items, including spices, are front and center and in easy reach. Our kids' school snacks are down at their level so they can reach them themselves. We do individual servings for those per their school's request so they can see a label for allergy reasons. We have bins for sauces and seasonings on this shelf as well. Cans have their own bin, as do baking items. I find that when I keep the items corralled by category, it makes them easier to find. As I mentioned earlier, we have a big backstock bin on the floor, along with a bin for snack foods and other bigger items that we keep in their original packaging. That's it! I hope this video answered a lot of your questions about decanting pantry items. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe because we're planning on putting out more videos this year. Thank you so much for following along with our project. Happy organizing!